All right, today I'm going to show you how to use our amazing Clearcast epoxy to do a beautiful canvas like this, but with a twist. We're going to use this Amazing Mold Putty here. That's a silicone putty to give us a clean line with separate colors. Something we couldn't do before, now you can do. Let's jump right in. Mixolophagus, let's get going. Strong Lion King vibes. Bada bing, bada boom, we're done. These are our canvases, love these. Just picked these up, but I'm gonna put this to the side for a second. Because we've gotta prep this area, then we can spread this out. Now I do this to show you how to do this. It's very clear that I've not done this, but this is how you would really protect your surface. Just some thin plastic sheeting and that'll do the trick. Here's the deal. This, I don't like that. So I'm gonna go back to the old duct tape. One up top. There we go. You know what? Nah. We're safe. We're gonna be smart, right? Cool. Now let's get these canvases out. This is a 3-pack of kind of the economic canvas. You can get really nice ones. Like you can get the professional grade and all of that. I just go with the basic, you know? What you can do, because this, the canvas it's a cloth, right? So it's kind of porous. So what a lot of people do, and we'll do this real quickly, if I have Mod Podge, I think I have Mod Podge. But what people do is they actually brush on some Mod Podge, so that kind of generic glue that you get at any hobby store, right? It keeps your epoxy on top and not dripping through. Here we go. So I'm just gonna give it a glue, get those lines out, because those lines will actually kind of start to stick. I don't often feel like Bob Ross, but when I do, it's fantastic. Excellent, there we go. Let's grab a hair dryer. I'm gonna really quick expedite this process for us. My face is a little red, because I got sunburned over the weekend, because I haven't been outside in what feels like 14 years. So you had sunburn on top of a hot shop, and now I'm using a hair dryer. It's a recipe for heat. Oh, let it be over. I think we're good. We're good. I'm calling it. All right, our canvas is sealed. We're ready to go. Now we got to elevate our canvas. If we didn't elevate it, epoxy would just go over this edge right onto the plastic, and you'd end up with all these massive pools, and it wouldn't go over the canvas. It wouldn't look nice and polished and finished. So important, when you're using these paint pyramids, which have clearly seen a good amount of use, don't put them on the canvas, right? This is going to give you a weird poke through. Nobody wants that. Make sure they're on the wood itself. There we go. See, now we have a solid surface. It's time to use some mold putty and create that barrier here. This is the key to this whole thing. If you don't have a clean barrier that's going to block epoxy from the other half of the canvas, it's never going to work. You're going to have all your colors blending together. So this is the unlock. This is the key. We're going to put a solid line. It might even curve a little bit. We'll see. All right. Amazing Mold Putty. Here it is. Comes in 2 halves, A and a B side. It's really simple. It's like Play-Doh. Equal part of side A. This is actually side A. So equal part of side A, equal part of side B. Mix them together in your hand. You have about 2 minutes. And then we're going to lay it out. And then it's going to cure in about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, we'll be ready to pour. I'm going to grab one of these X-Acto mats here. Gives me another work area. And we will go from there. So here's the thing. When you've got one of these sides and you go, that's about right, keep in mind you're going to add twice the amount to this. But I'd rather you use a little bit more than to short it. If you short it, it's going to be really hard because now that, you know, this putty that you've mixed up it's closed. The open time's gone. So it's really hard to add to. So that's why we want to make sure we use enough from jump. Hey, I feel pretty good about that. I want to know where I'm going to go with this before I mix it up. Like I said, it's a race against the clock once we combine those two sides. So this is a sunset. I'm teaching you how to do a sunset with two very distinct colors to it. That noise is very satisfying. You're probably not hearing it the way I am, but big fan. Cool. Lines drawn, sides are equal, although very shiny because it's warm. Let's combine. Here we go. What I want is a nice, even, consistent yellow color. Just folding over, kind of scrunching it down. Imagine you're baking, right? You're kneading bread. I feel good about that. Next thing to do, big long spaghetti noodle. Working with epoxy, mold making and all of that, it's more like baking than people tell you. All right, transfer over to the canvas. Oh yes, I have enough for sure. In fact, I'm going to double back on this. I'm on my line. I like that line. We're still in the open time, but we have more to do, so let's get going. Back of the line where you're not at the side that you're not going to pour on. We're going to press down a little bit into the canvas, and you're kind of smushing down, and this putty will release from the canvas, so don't worry, don't panic. But this is when we're racing the clock a little bit here. Now I've put a little bit over the edges too. We want to do that because we don't want drips going over there, so we'll just press those down. So I'm just going to take a stir stick, just quickly just press. And I'm going for a really kind of an organic line. I don't need it to be like the most straight thing in the world. Now at this point, the more you mess with it, the more it's probably not going to be helpful to you. Okay. Walk away. Be done. Don't mess with it. We got 20 minutes. This will firm up. We'll test it, but just by touching it with our fingers, we'll come back and we'll pour some epoxy. 20 minutes later, and we are good to go. This is cured, and that's perfect. I'm feeling confident too. I don't think we're going to have a problem. I think it's going to be good. Gloves and glasses. Safety first, everybody. I'm going to keep telling you, even if you get annoyed with me, it's because I care about you and I love you, even though I don't know you. So here we go. Gloves and glasses first. This is what we're going to do. We're going to mix up. I'm going to do about, you can use the surface coating calculator if you want to, but I can kind of tell from here. I'm going to do about 16 ounces of just normal clear epoxy. So here's the thing. If you've never mixed epoxy before, check out our how-to mix video that gives you all the tips and tricks that you could possibly need to have a perfect mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with our colors of the sunset here. I'm going to start with just one that's yellow, so I'm going to put a couple drops. Okay, I want a potent orange in the sunset, but just one drop. Perfect. Do some red. Now these are all translucent, and that's okay. I've got this white background of the canvas, so I'm not super worried about these guys being translucent. And then I'm going to do red in this one as well. But to that red, I'm going to do a scrape of purple. Scrape the top, and then just use that stir stick and you're good to go. So we'll take our mixed epoxy, that's why we mixed it first, and we'll just go into our cups. I'll leave a little tiny bit of clear in there, just in case I want a little bit more of a color, I can go get some. Now we stir up, that's what we gotta do. And I do want to cover one thing real quick before we have some fun. On my canvas here, I do have, right here, a piece of wood that was built into the actual frame of my canvas. Here's why that's important. This essentially is like a big blanket. It's a big piece of cloth, right? So all the weight of that epoxy would actually push it down, and you end up with this kind of concave canvas, and the edges would look weird. We don't want that. I'm going to start with some of our yellow, and I'm going to do that yellow here. The sun is just over the horizon, let's say, so it's still giving most of its yellow to the center part. Now I'm actually going to go up into here too. Now let's get some orange here. I'm going to avoid this, but I'm going to go around our other areas. So I'm kind of going yellow and then orange and then red and then that deeper purple. So that's why I'm kind of taking my time and going wider with each color progressively. And I'm probably going to use a maybe a hair dryer to blend these together in a kind of a cool, a little bit more natural way. Let's see if I can eke out a little more yellow here. And then last but not least is that deep, deep red. I'm actually not going to do that. I'm just going to focus on this top here. Strong Lion King vibes. All right, I like this. I'm digging this. What do I want to do? Okay. Yeah, we're going hair dryer. Now plug it in, and here's what we're going to do. I'm going to push my epoxy from the middle towards the outside. I'm not trying to cover more of this area. This area is great. Imagine the sun is what's spreading this color out, not necessarily the hair dryer. All right, here's the thing. This is great. I feel really happy about it, and I can keep pushing over this edge, but I want to show you the alternative here. And that is I'm just going to really quickly lift up this canvas and then bring it back down. That is going to mess with what's happening here in the middle. I'm okay with that. This is a journey. This is fun. You're supposed to have fun. Oh yeah, there we go. I'm just really quickly using my fingers, just kind of going over those sides with what I've got dripped onto that plastic. That's the extra that we can use right here. Yeah, I'm feeling great. This is going to naturally level out, spread out a little bit. Don't worry about that. That's not a big deal. We just have one more step to do today before we let this sit overnight and actually cure, and that is get some of these air bubbles out. For that, we're going to use this. A heat gun would work too, and we've actually released almost all the air anyways from this with that hair dryer, which has a good amount of heat, but we're just making double sure here. So better safe than sorry. All right, so that's it for today. Let's come back overnight. This will be dry. We'll rip up this putty right here and we'll do our second pour. But this is great. This worked out really, really well. It blended on its own in a cool, unique way because I'd heated it up so much. But now we got to do the bottom, which is our dark dusk water. Let's do some fun stuff first. So we don't need this barrier anymore. It worked perfectly. There's no resin. There was a little drip here, but that was user error. But there's no resin on this side. That's why we use this mold putty. And since it's a silicone, it doesn't stick to anything. So just taking it off is pretty simple. So this is great. This worked perfectly. There's this beautiful line right here. This guy we're done with. So off it goes. And now we get to do our dark water. And I'm going to look at some reference photos and figure out how dark the water should be. Okay, so I've got kind of this going on here a little bit, these darker colors at the top. You can see it's like pretty dark at the bottom, almost black in a lot of ways. So we're going to do like deep navy, maybe even add a little bit of like black pigment. We'll mix up some dark colors here. Then we'll kind of blend that together. That'll give us our ocean look. Now the sunset was pretty straightforward, right? We knew it was vibrant colors. The water's a little bit different. So we're going to have to figure this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up the amount of epoxy we need, which we learned last time was, I think I did 16 ounces. And then I'm just going to try a few different color combinations in these small paper cups, and we're going to find out what we feel. So I'm going to do 2 drops, some of our epoxy. Like I said, alchemy. You get used to this. You get used to trying and failing and mixing and doing different things. And I'm just barely going to. That's it. So that's all I'm doing, just a little tiny scrape like this. So now look at what we're working with. But that's pretty dark. So I'm going to do one that's maybe a little bit lighter than that as well. A drop of the blue. I'm going to do a drop of the purple. I'm going to do just one ocean blue. Pretty much as bright. It's pretty bright. But I don't dislike having that in this a little bit. So I'm just going to do just a tiny, tiny bit of black. So even that, I feel like is too much, which is okay. Just going to press it against the plastic a couple times. Yep, that's better. I like that more. Keep in mind these are translucent colors and we're going against a white canvas, so a little bit darker here is not a bad thing. This is always it, right now. This is every moment in every video is where I get nervous. You shouldn't be nervous though. This is fun. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Immediate thought, this is too light. That's okay. This was my lightest color of water, so I'm not worried about that. In fact, I'm glad I put that down first, because now I have all these dark colors, the purple and the blue, and the kind of the black and the blue to mix into this, which is great. Sweet. Yeah, oh, there's the dark. There it is. A little bit of extra special attention to this edge right here. Just because I want it to go up to it, but not overtake it. If it does, that's okay. Do another canvas. Learn your lesson and move on. I feel like we should get our hands dirty. Let's do some fun finger painting. 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh. Again, over the edge, not a problem. We want to go over the edge here. And I'm loosely swirling too. I still want to feel like there's different colors. Play the piano a little bit. Now here's the thing. Watch your fingers as you're going over this edge. What I don't want to do is end up flicking epoxy of this blue on top of that sunset. So you got to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more mindful on this one. Growing up, we would clean our desks in school with shaving cream. I don't know if anybody else did that, but immediately that's what this feels like. That was the best day too, by far. Okay, walk away. Every moment every project there's a moment where you gotta walk away. I like this, I feel good about this. I do wanna get some of this air out, so I'm gonna grab that torch real quick. All right, done for the day. Look at this. That clean line, that's what we got because we used that mold putty to build that dam up. We'll come back tomorrow, put a clear coat over this so those seam lines disappear, and we'll hang it on the wall. All right, we are on day 3, and this is the final day. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the easy day. You look at this, we've got our dried top and bottom now, and I love this. This is so fun. Now here is the thing, when it comes to using this, you are gonna end up with a little bit of a lip and a ridge here. So how do we get rid of that? It's real simple. We just do one more thing, and that is a clear coat right on top. We don't need this to be a very thick clear coat, we just need a little bit. So I'm gonna do about 16 ounces. Mixolophagus, let's get going. All right, we are mixed up. One more time, if you haven't watched the mixing video of how to do this, check that out. We've got our epoxy mixed up, we've got our 2 sides, we're ready to go. But I wanna make sure when I'm pouring on top of this that I got a good chemical bond. Now, a real quick way to make sure that good chemical bond exists is to either pour it pretty quickly within 24 hours or even 4, 5, or 6 hours. But if you have a cured couple pours here like we do right now, another way to do that is just to real quick take some sandpaper over that and scuff this up. Don't freak out about scuffing this up because when we pour this clear over it, it's gonna fill in all of those scratches. So we'll grab a real quick little piece of sandpaper, we'll scuff it up, clean it off with a little bit of alcohol, and then we'll pour on our clear. We've done our scratches, we've cleaned it up, it's air dried, and we're ready to pour our clear. All right, you can spread this out a few different ways. You can use your hands, you could use the stick that you mixed up your epoxy with. You can have some fun. And then I'm gonna spread it out with my hands too, because why not? It's fun to get a little messy, right? Bada bing, bada boom, we're done. All we have to do now is get our gloves off, which is its own challenge. Sick. We are done. It is dried and it looks fantastic. This clean line right here, mold putty, folks. But if you've got another idea or another way to use this or a project you want to do, number one, go do it because that's part of the fun. Or leave a comment and let us know. Here at Alumilite, we're always here to help. So reach out. We'll see you next time.